Hey everyone, my name is Alina. I am here at the amazing, beautiful Upaya Retreat Center, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the Get Your Shit Together retreat. I'm so lucky and grateful to have been able to go to the last one last month in January. It's only been 3 weeks, and I have already seen immense change. My parents tell me almost every day how much I've changed for the better. I am manifesting my dream life. I'm becoming the person who I've always wanted to be, but always been too scared to, or put excuses. It's amazing, to say the least. It is amazing. It is the one thing that if I could share with everyone, I would share this. It's hosted by the amazing Amy Joy. She is my beautiful friend and mentor, and I am so immensely grateful for her, for teaching me all of this, for giving me all the tools, the new tools in my toolbox. It is all about oneness and growth, personal growth, spiritual growth, and about manifesting the life that you want, becoming the person you want to be. So yeah, this is something that is interesting to you. It is here at Upaya. There's amazing food. 7 people who were complete strangers and turned them into a family who adores each other in 6 days. Amazing. I talk to those people every day. I have so much love for them because we grew together and we learned together. So if this is something that you would like to do, if this is something that's calling you, please go. It will change your life. I know it has changed mine, and everyone who came has changed forever.
Are you ready to get your shit together? Isn't that what we are all truly trying to do? In this fun, life hack-full show, we will learn together how to navigate this roller coaster called life. We, as glorious messy humans, can sit in the proverbial third car, grumpy and bored, or in the front of the roller coaster having the time of our lives. What do you choose? In this show, you can expect meaningful content and practical takeaway tools to make life easier and exceptionally more joyful. There will be epic guests who already love their lives, allowing them to share their get your shit together tips and words of wisdom. Life is too long and too short to not love your life. Welcome to Get Your Shit Together Live with Amy Joy. Hello and welcome to Get Your Shit Together Live with Amy Joy, and I'm your host, Amy Joy. Happy Thursday. Happy holidays, everyone. So grateful to have you here with us today. Super stoked to have Mr. Dan Horner on the show. We're going to talk about how you can heal anything, and he is proof of that. You will see. So call your friends, your family, gather around. It's always a life hack full show. And thank you for spending your very precious time with us today. I also want to congratulate you on your abundance. I want you to take a moment right now and truly notice. Look around. Notice the gifts that have been opened. Notice the roof over your head. Notice the snow outside, or in my case here in Mexico, the beautiful sun shining, whales jumping, whatever's true for you. There's so much abundance around us. And it's an amazing thing to program your mind to notice. We're programmed not to notice. We're actually programmed to see all the things that we don't have. And it's crap. There's so much. We have so much. So congratulations on your abundance. All right, you know what time it is. It is time to change your state, elevate. All right, this is the part of the show where we take 2 to 4 minutes to change our vibration or frequency to go from where we are to even happier, right? So it's either crappy to happy or happy to happier. And right now, I want you to sit or stand, whatever you want to do there, whatever's comfortable. And we're gonna breathe while we are grateful, thinking about things you're grateful for. So take a deep breath in. You're going to breathe through your nose for 4 counts. So breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold for 4 counts 2, 3, 4, and then exhale through your mouth 6 counts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then inhale for 4 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. And now as you exhale through your mouth, you're visualizing golden light coming down, filling your body, saying, I am healthy and strong. And then inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, and then exhale through your mouth. So grateful. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then one more. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Putting your hands on your heart, thinking about what you're grateful for. There's so much to be grateful for, and gratitude is the rocket ship to joy. It is the fastest way out of suffering. And so we love to practice that here. So thank you for doing that with me. Amazing. And that's how you can go from crappy to happy in seconds. So take a minute to just take inventory. How do you feel now in comparison to 2 minutes ago? Better, right? And it's that fast. So amazing. Thank you. All right. So it's time to get your shit together, our shit together, because I'm getting mine too. So excited to have Dan Horner with us today. He is a healer. He's an alchemist. He's a dear friend of mine. And I'm very excited to pick his brain today on how you can heal anything. Now, we suffer so much as humans with sickness. And we know from multiple shows and interviews that 85% of what we deal with physically is emotionally based. And it can be healed. It can be healed. It can be healed. It can be healed. And it doesn't necessarily need medicine. Okay. So what if that's true? I want you to keep an open mind right now and just wonder, what if that's true? And if so, how do we do that? And we're going to learn from Dan today. But I want to introduce Dan here. So Dan Horner is a U.S. Naval Academy graduate and former naval officer. Over a several-year period, Dan suffered from a litany of diseases. Okay, hold on to your horses. Listen to this. Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, IBS, eczema, thyroid problems, low back pain, chemical sensitivity, insomnia, extreme weight, over 40 pounds, loss, food intolerances, insomnia, anxiety, depression, and that's a partial list. So if you're on Facebook or on YouTube right now and you can interact, I would like you to put a 1 in the chat if you can relate to any of these things. All right. Through research, trial and error, testing himself as a human guinea pig, he healed himself from each of these. And along with that, after witnessing the seemingly miraculous healing of dozens of others, he's developed a framework he believes can heal and reverse any adult onset chronic pain, illness, or ailment. Yeah, I know. I want to know too. So Dan has spoken at conferences alongside luminaries such as Deepak Chopra, Dr. Andrew Weil, Paul Stamets, Dennis McKenna, Nobel, oh goodness, I'm probably butchering their name, Nobel Laureate. I don't know how to say that. Laureate Roger Penrose, Neale Donald Walsch, love him, Dr. Stuart Hammeroff, Dean Radin, and many others. Dan has come to believe that you can heal from anything. Woo! All right, put your hands together for the amazing Dan Horner.
Yay!
Holy cow, Dan! That's crazy. I'm so glad you're with us.
I'm so grateful to be here with the great Amy Joy. Thank you so much.
Oh man, thank you. Well, tell me, I want you to connect with the audience just a little before we do the interview. What do they need to know about you that wasn't in the bio that would help them understand where you're coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I spent 4 years with those illnesses and many others that I've since forgotten. I remember the first time I wrote a list, it was about 13 or so different illnesses.
Yeah.
And I suffered with those over, like I said, a 4-year period. And I'm sure you've met someone or someone's being in contact with someone who, like, somebody that's got like all these things. They can't eat this and they can't do that. And they have trouble going to social gatherings because they're so weak. And their entire life is around managing their sickness and, energy levels and stuff. And it sucks to live like that. And I was that person for quite some time where I had all these restrictions. I couldn't eat all these things. I couldn't go to certain places people would invite me to. I was just too weak and too depleted. And, despite having that incredible litany, I was able to heal through educating myself. And a lot of people are in that stuck, that really stuck place. And it absolutely sucks. Like, I was definitely, I had periods where I was suicidal, or at least had suicidal ideation, and I couldn't see the point of living anymore.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people get to that place when they're just out of options, but I just say keep searching, keep searching. Eventually you can find your solutions. Most people that are in that place, they think, well, I've tried everything. And I've made my career, that the period that I was ill was 2006 to 2010.
Yeah.
And once I got myself well, I've made a career of either hosting healers, like you mentioned, or doing healing with people myself. And I've just witnessed too many incredible, miraculous healings to think that someone can't overcome, no matter how many things they have.
It's absolutely true. And we first met at Dr. Joe Dispenza in Colorado with our amazing friend Christian Michelson and Rudy Rodriguez, and amazing healers and doing amazing work in the world across the board. So what you talked about, the framework. So tell me more about that.
Sure. Yeah. I would say the framework, it took many years for me to piece these pieces together.
Sure.
And it was like a little treasure hunt, and I'd make just a little bit of progress, and I'd be stuck long enough to lose hope again and have to like go, pick myself up off the ground and put effort towards it again. And then eventually I'd find another piece. And I would say, through that whole thing, the framework that I came to understand was, and now there's it's kind of mainstream. People talk about trauma all the time on mainstream television, on mainstream radio. People are like, oh, I'm traumatized, or this was traumatizing. And it's become common knowledge. But in 2006 to 2010, it was not common knowledge.
Yep.
And I just came to believe that almost all adult chronic illness has a component of trauma to it, or a belief system, a misconception about the world, which is a different form of trauma. Like some people think that trauma is your house catching on fire or a car accident. But there's so many things that can be trauma. It could be being bullied on the schoolyard, or by your siblings, which happen to be, or by your parents.
Yep.
It could just be being around other people being traumatized, which it took me a long time to understand that I had been traumatized, because all of the traumas that I experienced when I was a kid were because of my parents fighting each other, or not all of them, because they definitely were corporal punishers too. But them fighting each other was where my traumas came from. So I guess the framework is, if you can heal your traumas, you can heal your body. And one of the great things that I came across, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, Carl Jung, right? Carl Jung was, he was like this. He was a colleague of Freud, and they shared information. Freud, who basically birthed the concept of psychotherapy into the world. And people go to psychotherapy now because Freud kind of invented it in a sense. And Carl Jung was a colleague of his, and they kind of worked together. And but Carl Jung was a little bit more into the mystical side of things. He was more into the subconscious. He had a thing that he called the collective unconscious, the collective consciousness. And one of the brilliant things I think that he said was, if you don't make the subconscious conscious, it will roll your life, and you will call it fate.
Oof.
Yeah, that one's a heavy one. Like, if you don't make the subconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, in my experience. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of an illusion, in a sense, that the world, and even your physical body feels so much like it's actually you, that it's hard to separate. Sometimes people can separate, there's a reality out here, and there's a difference between me and what's happening out here. But it's harder to separate that your own physical body is part of a reality that's being created that can be changed through making the subconscious conscious.
Absolutely. And here's the challenge, and this is why I have this show, like, for real, is to make the subconscious conscious. We have two minds. We have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. I also like to say unconscious, because we're basically sleeping. And 95% of our subconscious mind, our subconscious mind is 95% of our mind. We are 5% awake unless we start flipping those numbers. And that's why I have this show. This is why I have all these beautiful souls come in, and we learn little life hacks to get more awake, to flip those numbers so that we actually can choose, right? So I want you at home to say, I am not the program. You are not the program. There's these like USBs. I don't know why, Dan, but the USBs are always here in my side. And I'm like, no, that one's bullshit. It's not even mine. And you mentioned it, I think basically you're saying limiting beliefs, a belief system that no longer serves you. At one point it did, right? Usually for protection. And was, where there's people, there's problems. Imagine. I mean, and we as humans will do anything to prove ourselves right. So now I'm looking for proof. Where there's people, there's problems. Oh, there it is again. Yeah, told you. Where there's people, there's problems. So I'm literally creating, anticipating, expecting, magnetizing people and problems. So everyone at home, I want you to take a deep breath in, because we get our shit together here. I want you to breathe in and ask yourself, what might you be telling yourself, and or what trauma do you know that you need to heal? Because if you can heal your traumas, you can heal your body. And guess what? You can heal your traumas. Dan and I are both examples of that. 8 years of massive abuse on my side, running for my life, hiding in Mexico with 2 little baby boys, like been through it. And Dan in a different way with sickness. I had migraines for 1.5 years. I now understand this much, those that suffer with suicide. And it's another reason I do this show, because we are just 2 millimeters away in changing that. All of a sudden we're not going the same way anymore. Right. So
yeah, and
I went on a little bit of a rant there.
No,
but
I love it. That's absolutely right. And I didn't know that you had been through such an arduous experience. But like limiting beliefs, people, like we're saying heal the traumas, and you can heal your body and your life and your outer reality. And with limiting beliefs, like sometimes they're a little bit harder to identify, and
right.
because they just look like reality to us. Like people, where there are people, there are problems. And sometimes, like I'm saying, like that lies along a spectrum of, yes, your house burning down, and
Yes.
and an 8-year experience like you had, or you're getting into a car accident, or getting screamed at when you're a kid. Like those are all on the trauma spectrum. But then we develop these limiting beliefs, and I've done sessions on people that sometimes we just reframe and change and let them become aware of a limiting belief, and that will have effects on them physically. So sometimes, like I'm saying, that's on a spectrum. Like it's a smaller form of trauma that the world has inculcated us in, has we've been immersed in.
Yeah.
But it can definitely make a difference. And it's mainstream science that 85% of illnesses are stress related.
Yeah.
And if someone had a belief, a subconscious belief, like where there are people, there are problems, like everything would look stressful,
Yes,
other than,
because there's people everywhere.
it's like, and it's subconscious. It's absolutely not anything that you were going around saying out loud to people. It was something that just was happening in your nervous system.
Yeah.
At a subconscious level, you were like, I'm going to avoid that thing and that thing and that thing. And at a subconscious level, when you had to go to these places, then your subconscious, your body was getting more tense and stressed out. And so absolutely limiting beliefs can lead to those illnesses as well. And I'm including those on that spectrum of healing.
Because
Yeah, for sure.
It's micro traumas.
Yes.
So the other one I realized is at 8 years old, I grew up in a high demand religion, and women didn't have any say. And there was no women in any leadership in the whole
Church or
yeah, well, it was
organization.
That's the word. Thank you. And I was born with a brain and a mouth, and I used both, and I was in constant trouble because I was like, that doesn't make sense. And I was an athlete, and I loved playing sports, but because I was a girl, I wasn't allowed. And I'm like, And so I pushed to be the best because I couldn't be equal. I had to be better to even be acknowledged. And so at 8 years old, I made a choice. I remember exactly where I was standing, that I would prove that women could do what men could do, and we could do it better. And you know what I did in the process? I basically disowned women and became a man to do it. So the trauma of that choice, based on what was going on in my world, was prove. So my kids grew up with a stressed out mom. Now I have understanding. There was a lot of other things. I was a single mom hiding for my life, my life. You know, there were other things going on, but some of it was me trying to be the best at everything, the best mom, the best salesperson, the best friend, the best daughter, the best everything, to be equal, which was all shit, because we're enough just because we exist. How much do you deal with this I'm not enough crap?
It's
all the time. No,
it's absolutely rampant. It's absolutely rampant. To the point where I had a marketing coach that suggested to me that I just focus my entire business on imposter syndrome and not enough.
Yes.
And
it's 99.9% of the time.
Yeah. The research on major traumas, not even the minor stuff we're talking about, but research on major life traumas like an incarcerated parent or physical abuse or sexual abuse or a parent dying or these sorts of things, parents getting divorced. Like, research on major traumas is 67% of the population experiences one before they're 18 years old. So that's major traumas. But there's almost no one, and I can't think of anyone who escapes minor traumas like you're talking about. There's almost no escape of that. And it's just like it's so rampant that we all have to face these limiting beliefs and these subconscious stressors, and know thyself and see where those lie and transcend them, heal them, and do better. Like, some people think, there's probably a lot of people in the spiritual community that watch this show. And I've always kind of, one of the things I would say is, people kind of think that they can become so holy or so like that they can avoid this sort of trauma or dealing with it.
3D shenanigans.
3D shenanigans. And like, when you look at the most spiritual people on the planet, there's not a single one that didn't have an extremely arduous life. Jesus didn't have an easy life. No. He may have been like the most spiritual guy that ever lived, the most connected to God and source. And yet there he was getting crucified. So there's no such thing as becoming so holy and so enlightened that you don't have to deal with these things.
No, I completely agree. This is Earth School. This is Earth School. There isn't a road in Earth School that does not have magic, that does not have mountains and swamps and glitter and so much joy and more swamps and more mountains and animals and bugs that bite. There isn't a road that doesn't have it. The question is how are you navigating the road? Are you enjoying it? Are you hating every second of it? What's happening? Right? And this is, again, why I do this show, is because we have to, in my humble opinion, annihilate this Disney idea that there is this perfect road and person, if only we would find it. It's crap.
Yeah. And I guess what we're talking about here today, when we're talking about healing, is what kind of vehicle are you going to ride in on the way? And if your vehicle's not operating in a smooth and, good manner, then you can do things to change it. Like, if your tire is not working on the bike, you can change those tires or get a new wheel or whatever. Get a tune up. So, part of it is the quality of the journey. There is no road that you won't have the bumps and the hills and the difficulties, but the vehicle that you go in can be it's definitely within our control. It's within our ability to influence. If anything, God, when he invented us all, said, you have domain over this physical
Yes.
body. This part is yours
Yes.
to do with and to make choices with and to heal and grow. That's your, that's your vehicle. That's your bicycle. That's your car. That's your space shuttle.
Totally. I like this analogy. If anyone's ever ridden one of those razors, buggies, and you go over a speed bump, the first time I did, it was my road and I know the speed bumps, right? And I went over it and I didn't feel it. And I was like, I literally looked back. I'm like, was it? And I'm like, yeah, there is one there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. The wheels and the suspension are so great. Or imagine a car with 3 flat tires and you're trying to get over the speed bump. Same speed bump, different experience. Right? So it's these little things that we can do with our mind and what we eat. It's a, body, mind, soul thing. This is why we talk about all those things here, because you can't ignore one without having major problems. They all matter.
Yeah.
What would you say to that, Dan?
That's perfect. There was something that I did want to share, which it became a discovery once I became a healer and started doing sessions, hundreds and hundreds of sessions, that I started to have this realization about body, mind, and spirit. And I would say that when people are looking for healing, just something that I've noticed, I'm not saying it's true 100% of the time.
Right.
But so much when people have a physical issue, they want to work in the physical domain. And when people have a mental issue, they want to work in the mental, emotional domain. So maybe they go to a therapist or whatever, like dealing with these, like therapists or something where you're dealing with language and kind of these intangibles. But I feel like the most effective, more direct route is if you have a physical problem, I have found the most benefit approaching it from the mental, emotional domain.
Yes.
And when you have a mental, emotional problem, it's a more direct route to address it from the physical domain.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. So, with, say, depression, people want to, and I'm not saying it's not going to help to go to therapy, and I'm not saying it's not going to help to do some sort of energetic process or, cathartic discussion. Sometimes that's all the person needs, but somatic work will have a dramatic effect on depression. Getting a massage will have a dramatic effect on the way you feel. Exercise literally pumps feel-good chemicals into your body that will help you feel better. So working out or going to the gym or getting sunshine or getting a massage can be a much better improvement for depression. So you're healing something from the mind on the physical level. And when people have a physical issue, all those things that we listed, the fibromyalgia, the chronic fatigue, the irritable bowel, all these things, when someone has a physical issue, I have found that if I can get in the healing session, if I can do a mental, emotional process, they can have a dramatic result on their physical body. So, and this
fast sometimes. This fast.
Yes.
Sometimes it takes a bit for the body to catch up, and I have had physical stuff literally disappear, no more, gone, done, trauma in the body. So when we say somatic, all of you at home, we're talking about stuck energy from trauma in the body that needs to get moved out. We have 7 energy centers. We actually have more, but there's 7 main ones. In the eastern side of the world, they call them chakras. Over here, we call them energy centers, whatever. It's not religious. It's just a thing. They exist. and we have to pay attention to them, no different than we need to pay attention to our physical body. And so if after a while you've been throwing guilt and shame and fear and all these things into the proverbial PVC pipe, if there was one, then things don't spin as well, right? And they create dis-ease in the body. And so once you move that out, and it's really not that hard to do, you can do so much in just even one session. It's wild. It moves out, and now you're free. You're free. I want to say something really, like, I want you to hear me. On the other side of healing is freedom. On the other side of healing is freedom. It's worth it. And sometimes you don't know until you know. You don't know what you don't know about what you're carrying around until it's all of a sudden gone. So understanding and taking a minute right now to just ask yourself, what do I need to heal? What do I need to heal? What trauma in my body needs to be dealt with, or what limiting belief needs to be dealt with? And just having that awareness, now guess what? You're going to run into someone, or come see Dan, or come see me, or there's so many beautiful people out there doing this work. Move it out, baby.
Yeah. So one thing that when I talk on stage, I like to talk about is to view, like you're talking about, the shame and the blame that goes with it. And a lot of times, especially in the spiritual community, people have this perception that, there used to be this really strong perception about 10 years ago when all the law of attraction and manifestation stuff started becoming really popular, that when you got an illness, you manifested that, you created it, you somehow attracted it. In a sense that you were to blame, right?
Right. Yeah.
You were to blame. And
it's extreme, and it's not taking into account all the other things.
Right. And I'd like to dispel that rumor, or that myth. It's like, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Yes.
Right. That's
yes.
the proper frame to look at it. And I'm not saying it's proper because I'm absolutely right and other people that think differently are wrong. I'm saying it's the most empowering frame to, a viewpoint, mindset to address it.
Yes.
That, it's not your fault. Let go of the guilt, let go of the shame, let go of blame, let go of, why did this happen to me? I must have been a complete a-hole in a previous life. I must have done something really, really wrong. Like, let all that go. It's not your fault. It just happened. But the only person that can do anything about it is going to be you. When you put your hands on the wheel and say, I'm taking over responsibility for my well-being. I'm no longer leaving it with doctors or healers or practitioners. No. I will go see those people, but I'm taking responsibility for my healing. And the other thing that alleviates some of the shame is, like, I say to people that if they have like an illness, almost everyone, when I'm in an audience of 100 people, if you say, how many of you have some chronic condition, like, even if that's just chronic knee pain, chronic back pain, chronic headaches, maybe a little insomnia, almost everyone has something. And I say, it's, and I say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your body. Even if you have cancer, there's nothing wrong with your body. And people are like, what are you talking about? Like, I have cancer. I just said I have cancer. I have irritable bowel syndrome. I have fibromyalgia. And it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with your body. Yeah. You have a certain set of inputs, and there's a certain set of outputs that come from that. Your body is a system. People that didn't have all those traumas growing up, there's, research, the Adverse Childhood Experiences study, and there was 12 specific traumas that they would ask if you had these. They were like incarceration of a parent, your parents getting divorced, if you got physically punished, if you got, physically abused, sexually abused.
Okay,
There's basically like 12 different questions. And if you had any one of these, your chances of having a chronic condition,
Yep.
including cancer, including COPD, including almost anything, went up. And if you had 2, it went up more. And if you had 3, so each one of those major traumas that someone had,
Yep.
their likelihood of having trauma went up. I mean, like likelihood of having chronic illness later,
Yeah.
heart conditions, whatever it is, cancer, they all went up. And so what I'm saying is, take a person that lived in the Garden of Eden and, never was whipped by their parents, never was yelled at, didn't experience these major traumas, and their body has no illness. And then you say, okay, well, I'm going to take that same body, and instead of giving them this trauma-free upbringing, we're going to introduce a parent getting incarcerated, and we're going to introduce their parents getting divorced, and death of a sibling, a major death in the family, physical abuse. And then all of a sudden, it's literally like systems engineering. You had a different set of inputs, and but very scientifically shown, your chances of having these illnesses is a much higher likelihood in the output. So it's like there's nothing wrong with the body. It just got a different set of inputs and created a normal, exactly correct set of outputs.
Yeah.
And that's
almost happens. Like specific to disease.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So another way for input, another word is program.
Yes.
Another word for trauma is program.
Yes.
And you are not your trauma. You are not your program. It's not your fault. And it is your responsibility. You have them. They're plugged in.
Yes.
Right. And so this is why the reason it's not your fault. When you understand that we're 95% zombie, we're 95% not conscious. So these are programs given to you by your parents, your culture, your language, your teachers, the freaking TV, right? And this is what we're trying to do, is do some different programming. We're trying to say, no, you're enough because you exist, versus a lot of the other programming, which is you're not enough. You need the Rolex, you need the house, you need the kids, you need the wife, you need all the things, right? So I want to bring this up. This is the Healings Questions Guide. We've had Wendy Jensen on the show a couple times. She's amazing. You can go back to other episodes on YouTube at Amy Joy Coaching under Lives, or on E360 TV, and look up Wendy Jensen. But literally, you can look up anything here, and it asks a question. So even like car sickness, there's questions you can ask about car sickness. What will it take for me to feel safe and free? And then you can say this: I am safe, all is well. I choose to see beyond my perceived conditions. Celiac disease. What will it take to increase my ability to recognize truth from error? Apparently, this type of thinking creates celiac disease if you're not aware, right? And when we wake up, we can heal it. So we can heal it ourselves. Often we can do a lot ourselves, and sometimes we need to get help. So there's nothing wrong with getting help. We're put on this planet together, not on individual islands. And so Dan is here for you. I am here for you. I want you can get a hold of Dan here on Facebook at Dan Horner, or on Instagram at Joshua Dan Horner San, on Insta. So please reach out. Would love to hear from you. Of course, up in the corner here, up there is Amy Joy Coaching. You can find me there, and love to hear from you. Dan, thank you so much. We're going to have you on here at the end, so hang tight. We're going to ask for your golden nugget for all of us. And but right now, it is time for Mantra Magic. All right. So I think this mantra is just, it was made for today and for this subject. Let me just take that down there. And because we need to feel at home in our bodies. No, wouldn't that be nice to love our bodies and feel at home there, and to trust ourselves and our bodies? And so here is here's your mantra for the week. This is some reprogramming. Instead of having things like I'm not enough, I'm sick. Don't ever say that. Ever say that. You can say this. I am home within myself. I am home within myself. I am safe here. I am safe. Make today glorious. Mwah. All right, that was with the amazing Kelsey Garcia. You can find her music on Spotify. She is amazing. So I am home within myself. Let's love ourselves. Let's do the work. Yeah. Amazing. All right. It's time for meditation moment. Grab the kids, the grandkids, get everybody around. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes to bliss. All right, this is where we take 5 minutes to get present. When we're present, we're in this moment, which is really all that we have is right here, right now. And when we can get out of our minds, as far as thinking about the past or the future, that's when we can really enjoy the present of being present. So close your eyes, sit as straight as possible, but whatever you want to do. All right. We're going to listen to music from the amazing Gary Malkin. He has shared this with us. You can find him on Gaia on Islands of Inner Peace. He is multi-Emmy winning musical composer, and he has shared this piece of music with us today. All right, so close your eyes. Oop, there we go. All right, take a deep breath in. And exhale. And try to make an actual sound when you exhale. Make that ah sound. And also make your exhale longer than your inhale. Go ahead again. And exhale. Nice. And now I want you to pay attention to your breath. Just notice how the air feels entering your nostrils. And breathe. And now I want you to notice, how do you feel right now? Do you feel happy? Do you feel crappy? Don't make it right or wrong, good or bad. Just notice. And breathe. And now I want you to notice, what are the thoughts going through your head right now? Are they thoughts of the past or the future? Or are you right here, right now with me. Again, don't make it right or wrong, good or bad. Just notice. And breathe. And now I want you to visualize a flame flickering right in front of your eyes. Notice the whites, the golds, the yellows, the reds, the oranges. And have that flame slide right into the middle of your head. And watch it flicker there. Now with your hands on your heart, I want you to think of one thing you're so grateful for. Brings a smile to your face. And while you're in this beautiful state, I'm going to send you a energetic activation. It's called a Diksha. All you have to do is set the intention to receive it. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Let your eyes flicker a little bit. Then adjust back to the light. Amazing, amazing. Thank you for doing that with me. That's called the Serene Mind Practice. I learned from my beautiful spiritual healers and masters that I went to India to see. And you can go on YouTube and find that, or you can go to any Get Your Shit Together show. There's always 5 minutes of bliss. All right, we're going to bring Dan back on. There he is. How was that for you, Dan?
That was beautiful. I'm so glad. I feel super still, super at peace.
It's amazing what 5 minutes will do of presence. The present is the present. Such a gift. Such a gift. All right. So Dan, we would love to know your golden nugget. If you are on a mountaintop and you had the population of the planet around the foot of the mountain, obviously great sound system, everyone can hear you, and you had one thing to share with the world, what would that be? We have 2.5 minutes.
Oh, wow. I would say I would summarize what we've talked about this entire time, you and I, which is heal your traumas and you heal your illness. And those traumas include along the spectrum of traumas, beliefs, perceptions, all on a spectrum. Yep. Heal the traumas and you heal your illness. And that goes for if you are having relationship issues, if you're having financial issues or physical issues, you can heal your traumas and your beliefs and your perceptions, and you can create change in those areas. And the way that you heal those is you make the unconscious conscious over and over again. You make the unconscious conscious. You become aware, more and more aware of that which you are unaware of.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
so
yes.
you keep working on that. keep finding, and there's a myriad of ways. There's thousands of people to help you, hundreds of ways to make the unconscious conscious. Journaling, you can do it through hypnosis, regression, energy healers, all sorts of things. And when you're able to do that, you can become aware of things that you were not aware of. And you can shift the way that your life happens, the way your physical body expresses things.
Yep.
And you can shift your life.
Completely. And when you become aware, give yourself a high five, because in this glorious moment, you have a choice. Before that, you're just unconscious, asleep. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So thank you, Dan. So grateful to have you. Thank you for all the work you're doing, all the being you're being in the world. It makes a difference. And thank you all watching. I love you. I see you. I honor you. I appreciate you so much. Remember, together we vibrate higher. And that, my friends, changes the world. We'll see you next week. Mwah!
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you for watching Get Your Shit Together live with Amy Joy. If you'd like to follow us, you can on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Amy Joy Coaching. Appreciate so much your likes, comments, and shares. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out. We'll see you next time.